All right. Well, good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started with today's agent development training. Really appreciate y'all taking the time to jump on again today. We are in the planning process for what the next couple of months worth of agent development trainings are going to look like. And we're probably going to open it up to a little bit broader audience. We have some tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 agents who wish to be a part of these on a little bit more regular basis. So we are going to pivot into that. But today we're going to be keenly focusing on some things that several of you brought to my attention that I think are worthy of our discussion. We have Michelle Drummond with us today. So I see Michelle will bring you on in about 30 minutes or so. But she's our newest representative with BASE. And several of you had asked for her contact information because you have some things in process or you'd worked with a past BASE representative, specifically Alicia Petton, who's no longer with BASE. So I want to make the connection there and kind of talk through some things. But before I do all of that, I want to share my screen and just show you guys a couple of quick sets of numbers. The first thing that I wanted to take a look at was our agent status report as of today. This is obviously getting to be a very interesting part of the year. We're in the final day or two here of the contest year, and Health Markets is beginning to tabulate the final contest year rankings for 2023. So for those of you that are brand new on the call, our contest year runs from March 1st through February 29th this year because of leap year. And the reason that we do that is so that we can get all the business that is written during the fourth quarter counted in the contest year. So it kind of bleeds over. We are still scrambling to get all of the carriers' information into the systems. And there's a few carriers, I don't think it's going to impact anybody in the call, but there are a few carriers who probably their data just won't get in time for the cutoff of the contest year. We do expect the final contest year rankings to be posted, if not Friday, the first part of next week. So you'll be able to kind of see where you stand. I'd also tell all of you who are new on the call, starting on Friday, March 1st, we hit reset across the board and everybody starts at 0. Every single one of you on Friday are going to have the same amount of production as Ray Plagans. And then things will change from that point forward, obviously. But I wanted to show you guys where we're at on the agent status report. There will be one more update to this before the contest year and the month actually ends. But I do like to point out where some of the agents at the top actually are. And kudos to Ray Plagans and Sean Baird. They're a dynamic duo that are working together as a sponsoring agent and sub-agent. Ray's at almost 800,000 rolling 12-month FYCRs. So that simply means in the last 12 months, him and Sean together have written almost 800,000. We've never had an agent in our territory write those kinds of numbers over a 12-month rolling time frame. So congratulations and kudos there. Derek and Tony and Gary Boverhoff are all over 500,000, which is incredible to see. Tyler, myself, Laura, Cheryl, Kristen, and Kevin McIntyre are all over 300,000. And then Cav and Dan and Matt are all, between 220,000 and 300,000. So it's fun to see what those agents at the top are doing. I will give a quick shout out to Stacy and to Carrie. You guys are on the verge of getting to tier 4, and I think you'll get there early in 2024. So congratulations and kudos there. Our tier 3 agents are from Stacy on down to Kevin Jarko. So those are all the agents who are currently in a tier 3 status. We then have our tier 2 agents from Larabelle down to Ashley. All of you are between 50 and 110,000 rolling 12-month FYCRs. And then below the red line, we have our tier 1 agents. If you're in black, it simply means that you're a veteran tier 1 agent, so more than 18 months with the organization. If you're in blue, bold blue, this just simply means that you're in your first 18 months. And the kinds of numbers some of you are posting are impressive. I will highlight Mike Stutz. Congratulations, my friend. A little over 3 months in the business and up over 23,000 rolling 12-month FYCRs. That's great to see. Kate, you've had some really nice progress here. Over 20,000. Veronica has jumped over 20,000. Cujo's right at 20,000. I see Seth and Chester and Cheryl. All of you are in that 9 to 20,000 range. And then we've got a lot of brand new agents who are just working to figure this out. We want to help you do that. That's part of what today is all about. So this is a quick overview of just where you stand and how much business you've actually written so far. Obviously, our first goal is to get you to 10,000, and then the next goal is to get you to 25,000, and then the next goal is to get you to 50,000. So those are kind of the incremental marks that we're going after. I also want to pivot over and talk to you about one of the most exciting emails I get to send every single year. I sent this over the weekend, and it's just our 2023 1099 income realities. And so hopefully you guys all had a chance to review this and kind of, I hope this was motivational. It should be motivational to show you what your peers and people around you are actually doing. To me, this is probably the biggest metric that I look at every single year to figure out, am I doing a good job? Is our leadership team doing a good job? Do we have the right people in the right seats on the bus? All those things. It really all flows down from here, in my opinion. If all of you are seeing significant growth in your revenue and your income year over year, that means we're selling the right products, we're doing a good job with lead generation, we've got a good process, we're bringing in referrals, and we're keeping clients on the books, which are kind of the key fundamental points of running a successful practice with health markets. So as we kind of break this down, we have about 120 licensed agents and 15 agent assistants that are a part of the territory. 38 agents are in a tier one status right now in their first 18 months. So that is many of you on the call today are in that particular place. And obviously our goal is to get you out of that tier one status and into tier two status ASAP. What I really focused on for this analysis, though, is the career agents. So the agents where health markets is their sole business, and they've been with us for more than 18 months. This is an analysis that I do every single year. I was actually looking back, and it was in 2018 was the first year that our average agent in this category made over $100,000. And obviously we're into 2023 now. So that was what, 5 short years ago. And the growth that we have seen across these particular agents is incredible. These agents actually wrote about 97% of the total business in 2023 with the help of their sub-agents. And so we had 12 agents who ended up in a tier 4 status. Their 1099 income rose from $444,000 to $546,000 per agent last year. It was a 23% increase. Absolutely unbelievable to see that big of an increase on agents who already have a pretty significant income stream. Our tier 3 agents, there were 14 of them. Their average income rose from $177,000 to $215,000 per agent. That was a 22% increase year over year. Our tier 2 agents, there are 17 tier 2 agents on the team. Their income rose from $80,000 to $93,000 per agent. And that was a 16% increase. So also great strides there. It's going to be really cool to see, because I think a lot of our tier 2 agents are going to eclipse 100,000 in income this next year, even in at a tier 2 agent status. And then our tier 1 agents, we don't have too many agents who stay in a tier 1 status for too long, but we do have 7 veteran tier 1 agents, and their income went up from 47 to 48,000 per agent for the year, about a 3% increase. Obviously, the biggest increases that we see are with the agents that we refer to as productive agents. They're agents who are tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. At a corporate level, we believe that these agents are executing enough transactions to truly become proficient in the work that we do, and we reward them accordingly. If you're tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4, you have access to the ABC bonus and some other compensation pieces that just kind of help sweeten the pot a little bit as well. So if you are a veteran tier 1 agent, I would love to help you get to tier 2 ASAP. So I'd be happy to have a one-off conversation on that. So the average 1099 income for these 58 career agents was $233,000 per agent last year. That was a 23% increase year over year. And we paid out it was a little over 11.5 million of total commissions to those 50 agents. So it's fun to see what we're doing. It's fun to see what we're building. And my hope and my plan and my goal for each of you is that you can become a significant part of this story as we kind of push forward. So I know that we've got a few people that have been with the organization for quite a while. Is Cav, are you on? There you are. Sorry, we got a Brady Bunch going on. So Cav, what are your thoughts? I'm just curious. You're the most veteran agent on the call, not just in age, but in tenure with the organization. So I know you and I have talked a little bit about some of these income realities. Do you have any thoughts to share with the team?
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible what people can do just as agents. When I was a sales leader with the quote unquote other company before we got bought out by Health Markets and all that. To really make that kind of money, you needed to be a sales leader. And so basically people would come on, they would be a good agent, and a lot of people got promoted that probably shouldn't have, just so they could start building a team and kind of make that kind of money. But now with what Health Markets has brought to the table, it's actually getting harder and harder for people to get promoted because they don't want to, because they don't need to. That's the nice thing about this now, that if you just want to be an agent, again, I'm an agent and I'm one of those in the tier 4. I'm not in the 500,000 stratosphere, but I'm still doing okay. But I can do that without having to be a sales leader and not having to have all that extra responsibility, so I can actually enjoy my life as well. So the cool thing about it is you don't have to be a sales leader if you don't want to be, to make a good living. But if you have that in your heart, Silas is always looking for good people to um, step up and help show people how to do this. So yeah, it's an incredible opportunity, and it's well worth the suck you have to go through to get there.
Well
That's
said.
our new tagline is embrace the suck. We're going to get t-shirts and everything, I think.
I suppose I'm paying for them one way or another. So
I'm going to work on that, Steve.
all right. Well, hey, everybody, I want to pivot over and spend the rest of our time today really talking about a topic that I think is important for all of you to understand. Several of you have asked questions. You know, one of the things we've been really promoting is that you walk into Small Business America and engage with Small Business America. We've talked the last couple of weeks about the walk and talk process, you know, showing your face, dropping off information, picking up a business card, getting them into your CRM, having a follow-up phone call, a follow-up email, and a follow-up direct mail with their business card attached to it. And doing that dozens, if not hundreds of times per week until you have enough appointments to start hitting the goals that you've set. I think that's the most proactive and aggressive way of marketing your practice. And if I was in your shoes, that's what I would be doing, especially since it's going to be 70 degrees out today. But along with that, as you're walking into Small Business America, I know that you're going to get questions around group insurance, and then things like individual coverage HRAs and QSEHRAs and H.S.A.s. And so today we want to just give you some content, some things that you can process and think through, hopefully some you know, kind of things that you can use to explain to consumers and to small business owners what options are available to them. You know, as a company, we do group insurance. I have a couple of dozen small group insurance clients. I will tell you, though, we have very, very few people that on our team out of our 120 agents that actually do group insurance and are group insurance brokers. Candidly, I don't find it to be a lucrative part of my business. I do it because nobody else wants to, and I feel like we need to have an outlet for it. Sandra has helped me. She has become a real small group expert. I'm not doing it because I want to. I'm doing it because I feel like we need to be able to quote groups in some situations. All of our top agents have backed out of small group insurance. And so I just want to tell you, a lot of new agents come in, they're like, oh, I want to do group. I want to do group. And I'm like, nope, don't even think about it until you hit tier 2. And even then, talk to other top agents, because most of them don't want to do group insurance. Group insurance is a whole nother animal. It's a whole nother set of training. It's a whole nother set of contracts. It's a whole nother set of quoting and sales process. And oftentimes you're dealing with W-2 employees who have an entitlement mentality. And in many situations for the consumers that we serve, these small businesses that we're walking into, in many situations, group insurance is not the right solution for them. And so I want to give you guys some talking points and some content, and then we're going to pivot over and talk about, okay, if a company doesn't offer group insurance, like true traditional group insurance, what does it look like for them to do something for their employees, leveraging our partners at Base? And that's where Michelle is going to come in and talk a little bit about you know, the individual coverage HRAs, the QSEHRAs, and maybe touch on health savings a little bit. So that's kind of the topic for today. So I want to just tell you a couple of things. First of all, how I always start off if somebody wants to talk about group insurance for their company is I tell them, if you have less than 50 employees, there is no obligation to offer insurance, and the government does not penalize you if you do not offer insurance. Now, if you get over 50 employees and you don't offer group insurance, there start to be some penalties that you might incur for not offering group insurance. I would say the interesting thing about those penalties is that those penalties are typically less than the cost of offering insurance. So we still see companies with 70, 80, 90, 100 plus employees who say it's cheaper for me to pay the penalty and not offer group insurance than it is to offer group insurance and pay the portion of the cost that I would be responsible for. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic. But most of the companies that we're going to be dealing with, you and I, are going to be companies with less than 50 employees. And in my opinion, there are two reasons why they might want to offer group insurance. Number one, to attract employees, and number two, to retain employees. That's about it. There's no other good reason for a company to offer group insurance. And I think small employers need to think about a couple of things. First of all, if they start offering group insurance, they are responsible to pay at least 50% of the employee-only portion of the premium. So a lot of times companies think, well, I'll just offer insurance and it'll be this great benefit and cheap because I'm buying it in bulk, and all my employees are going to get insurance for next to nothing then. That's not how it works. The employer has to pay 50% of the employee-only portion of the premium. And so when you look at most small group insurance plans, the raw premium to be on group insurance is going to be similar to the raw premium to be on an ACA marketplace plan. And I would say most group plans for an individual probably range between $500 and $1,000 a month per person, per adult, depending on deductibles and out-of-pockets and how big the group is. So as an employer, if I've got 10 employees and I'm like, hey, I want to offer group insurance, a bare minimum, I'm going to have to pay 50% of each one of those 10 employees' health insurance. And let's say it's $800 a month per person. So I'm on the hook for $400 per month per employee, which is $4,000 a month or $48,000 a year. Sometimes the conversation ends right here because employers are like, I can't do that. I'm like, I know, I understand that. That's why we're going to talk about some other alternatives. The other thing, though, that employers don't understand is when they go to launch group insurance for the first time, they have to have a certain number of people participating. And most carriers require 50% participation. Some companies like Anthem require 75% participation. I'm not going to get too into the weeds on this, but if I'm an employer and I've got 10 employees and I say I'm going to offer group insurance and I'm going to pay 50% of the employee-only portion of the premium, and that employee-only portion or that employee-only cost is $800 a month, I'm going to start paying $4,000 a month, but my employees are going to be responsible for $4,000 a month, plus the full cost of whatever it would be to put their spouse and children on. If I'm paying the bare minimum, they could easily have another $1,200 to $1,500, $1,600 a month in addition to the $400 that I'm paying for them to be on that group insurance. And so this is something a lot of employers just don't think about. They're like, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to offer it. But I can only afford to pay the bare minimum. Well, whatever you take to your employees has to be good enough in their eyes that at least 50 or 75% of them want to jump on the group insurance for this to even happen. So I've worked with a lot of employers over the years where they want to do it and they take this out to their employees and their employees are like, that sucks. I don't want to pay $400 a month for my own insurance, even though the employer is also paying $400. Like, it's not worth it. I'll go without, or I'll go figure something else out, or I'll go on my wife's insurance. And so oftentimes employers end up having to pay 70, 80% of the total cost for the employee and the dependents just to lure enough people onto the plan to get the participation they need to get that group insurance actually rolling. So these are some of the obstacles that employers run into when they're trying to offer group insurance. I would say less and less employers with less than 50 employees are going down the path of true group insurance. The other thing that employers need to understand is that once they start offering group insurance to their employees, they blow up the ability for any one of their employees to go to the marketplace and get a government subsidy based on their income. Because remember, to qualify for a government subsidy in Obamacare, you can't have access to group insurance through an employer platform, and you have to be within certain income thresholds, right? So this is another thing. A lot of times when a company's saying, I'm gonna do all these wonderful things, I'm gonna offer group insurance, a lot of times I'm like, that is not, you need to really pull and understand where your employees are getting their insurance today, because you might piss a lot of them off by blowing up their access to that subsidy. That subsidy may be far more than the amount that you're willing to pay inside of the group chassis. So that's another reason why a lot of times it doesn't make sense for employers, to offer that group insurance. So these are all just kind of considerations and obstacles that employers run into as they're trying to do this. We then talk to many employers who are like, I still want to do something. What can I do? And there are some things that they can actually do. One thing that's very, very simple that some employers choose to do is they can just raise wages. or gross up someone's income. They can give a bonus. There's various ways that they can pass money to their employees to help with the cost of insurance. I will tell you, I don't think just grossing up wages, though, is a real great way to do it because of a couple of reasons. Number one, if I raise the wages for my employee, I'm also lowering the subsidy that they're eligible for, right? Because there's an indirect relationship there. As wages go up, subsidies go down. So just a wage increase, I might just be trading money with the federal government as far as raising their wages and they qualify for less subsidy. So that might not be a real smart way of actually going about that. So that's kind of something to, think about a little bit. We do have some employers that do that. I'd say the other problem with just raising someone's wages to help them buy insurance or to giving them a bonus to help them buy insurance is that it's not really kosher for you to label that as health insurance or you can't delegate that for health insurance. You lose control over it. If you're going to raise their wages, they don't have to buy insurance with that. They can go buy a new boat or spend it however they want. And then 2 years down the road, those same employees, when they're asked by their buddy, hey, does your company offer group insurance? Like, no, they don't have anything. And they forget that, oh, I'm getting paid more because they're not offering group insurance. So it's just not very transparent either. So while some companies do that, I don't think it's a great idea. So for these small employers that want to do something, there are some other vehicles that we can leverage and that we can use. Two of them that Michelle is going to go over here in just a moment are going to be what's called an individual coverage HSA and a QSEHRA. Now, these are HRAs, and I think I said HSA. These are HRAs, health reimbursement arrangements. And it's important if you're going to work in the small group arena to kind of understand how these HRAs will work and what they can do for the employees. Michelle is going to go a little bit more in depth on them, but I will say there's two things to think about with these HRAs in general. Number one, just by offering and opening up an HRA, whether it's an individual, an ICHRA, or a QSEHRA, just by doing that as a company, that creates an immediate qualifying event for every employee of that company to go out and buy a marketplace plan. So we see some employers who they're just looking to do something mid-year, they're outside of the open enrollment period, and they realize by just launching this, even if I don't give them much money through the HRA, we've seen companies set it up with as little as $50 a month. They're not doing it to help their employees pay for their insurance. They're just doing it so that they can open up a window for all their employees to go buy health insurance. And I will tell you, as insurance agents, this is one of the few ways that we can create qualifying events, which then trigger special enrollment periods for the employees of these small businesses that we serve. So you got to keep that arrow in your quiver because that's a pretty big one. The other thing, though, that employers can do with these HRAs, health reimbursement arrangements, is that they can designate a certain amount of money that they're going to give to each employee tax-free through this HRA vehicle to help them buy their health insurance. Now, it is important to understand that no one can get a stipend through an HRA from their employer and also qualify for a government subsidy out on the marketplace. It's going to be one or the other. And Michelle will walk through the details of how that really works in depth. But, for an employer to say, hey, I'm going to allocate $1,000 a month to each individual employee, it now becomes a fixed dollar amount instead of a variable amount if I'm doing group insurance, where I can say, I'm going to offer you this, take it or leave it. If you take it, you've got to use it for insurance, and it comes to you on a tax-free basis. So it's a pretty awesome vehicle for an employer to help employees pay for their health insurance. So that's one thing that we could potentially look at. The only other thing I want to mention is that health savings accounts are also another awesome vehicle that an employer can use to help pay for employees' out-of-pocket medical expenses. Now, a few things have to be in place for this to work. First of all, the employees who are getting an HSA contribution from the employer, they have to be in an HSA approved insurance policy. So, and not every plan is HSA approved. I know here in Indiana, there's only 3, one with each carrier that's HSA approved. But this is a way where an employer could say, hey, I'm not going to offer group insurance. I'm not going to help you pay for your health insurance premium because the government's willing to do that. Go out, meet with Mike and let him custom design a solution for you. And then take the government subsidies that you're eligible for based on your household size and your adjusted gross income. And if you specifically choose an HSA approved plan, I'm going to help you as the employer fund your health savings account. Whether I'm just putting money in there as a gift or I'm matching your contribution up to a cap or to a limit, this is a way that an employer can help an employee set aside money tax-free to pay their out-of-pocket medical expenses. So deductibles and copays and co-insurance and vision and dental and other approved medical expenses. So it's kind of a different way of doing it. I think the traditional group insurance format, employers have said, I'm going to help you pay for your health insurance premium, where this is saying, nope, let the government help you fund your premium. Let me help you fund your out-of-pocket and your deductibles, because those are much higher than they've ever been, 7,000 to 9,000 in most situations. So there's a lot of different tools that we have here to help companies custom design this. Sandra and I were on a call yesterday with a client of mine in Columbus, Ohio. They actually have a number of employees. They've had group insurance for the last 5-6 years, and they're looking at blowing up their group insurance. They're spending $250,000 a year on their group insurance right now. And this is a company with like, what, 10, 12 employees? And the company's portion. Now, the employees are paying on top of that because they're paying their portion of the premium, plus they're paying their deductibles and copays and out-of-pocket and all that. But just for the company portion is about $250,000. And so they're saying, we can't do this anymore. And so we talked through with them, what would it look like to blow up your group insurance? That would create, now in their situation, blowing up the group insurance creates the qualifying event. We don't even have to set up an HRA because they have loss of coverage and they have a 60-day window to go to the marketplace and all of them buy coverage. And from an employer perspective, I think there are some real selling points on this. First of all, each employee can custom design their plan according to what they want and what they need. It's not one size fits all, right? So each individual employee can custom design it. Number two, they can chase those government subsidies to help offset the premium. And number three, the employee owns that policy. So it's not tied to whether or not they work for that particular company. It's portable. So there are some real upsides and a real story to be told about what does it look like to help an employer do something for their employees without offering traditional group insurance, which most small companies are gravitating away from. So I wanted to give you guys kind of a high-level overview and context, and I'd like to spend the majority of the rest of the call letting Michelle kind of walk through this with you. I've actually turned control over to Sandra because I have to jump onto a 10:30 call here, a different call, which I'm planning to do, and I might come back in depending on when we finish up, Sandra, so let me back in if you can.
Maybe.
So, Michelle, are you able to unmute?
I am. Hi, good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Well, thank you for being here.
Oh,
I probably butchered something up in my initial comments there, so you can run and clean up and behind me. But for those of you who don't know, Michelle is a representative with BASE, and BASE originally stood for, and I think it still does, Benefit Administrators for the Self-Employed. And they are a business partner of ours. Actually, we've for many years, Health Markets owned about 80% of BASE, so we were a big investor in the organization for many years. I've been friends with Terry and Adam. Terry originally started the organization and Adam runs it today. Great people. They've really built something special though, when it comes to administering these types of programs on behalf of the clients that we serve. So Michelle, I think you're able to, and you might have to make sure, Sandra, that you can share.
Yep.
But I'm going to kind of turn things over to you. Sandra Gardetto is my operations manager. She's going to be here to help run point on things. And then Steve Cavajola is here as a veteran agent. There's some other veteran agents on the call too. So I'm going to kind of turn things over to you from here. And you've got about 30 minutes with the team. So the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, Sandra?
We can. Yes, we can. Thanks,
Perfect.
Michelle.
Good. Well, my name is Michelle Rivers Drummond, and like Silas said, I am your BASE representative. I've been with BASE, gosh, probably 9 years, 10 years, something like that. Long time. I'm a lifer. And we started with one simple HRA called the HRA 105, and we're not going to go into a lot of detail today. Silas has specific things he wanted covered. But have just grown into this company that we do all aspects of employee benefit plans. So this is the first screen you see is kind of a list of the benefits that we offer. There's consumer-driven health plans, cafeteria plans, which I'm sure everybody's heard of, you know, flexible spending accounts, dependent care accounts, compliance documents. That's just kind of a list. And if you want some more personal in-depth training, Sandra and Silas have all of my contact information. Reach out and let's schedule some one-on-one time. So I don't take up your whole meeting. Okay. All right. I'm only going to tell you one thing about the group insurance portal because I make sure and tell all of my agents this because it's so important. If you have an employer that sponsors any sort of group benefit, so that can be group health, group dental, group vision, group life, they have to have their ERISA compliance documents. They're required by the Department of Labor. And if they don't have them, then that puts your employer subject to $110 a day per employee fine.
And
So
Michelle, what does ERISA stand for?
ERISA stands for Employment Income Retirement Security Act. Basically, it's the short story. It's a 25 page document and it's all about employee rights. So things like, when they're eligible for a benefit, when they terminate from a benefit, their contact information for benefits. But those documents change periodically, especially during COVID. Department of Labor changed the wording in those documents. It may be one sentence and it may be a paragraph. But if those documents aren't updated and handed back out to the employees, then they're out of compliance. So we're not focusing on group, but if you ever work with groups, this is a priority. Steep fines and penalties. But then as they start doing group later, we'll get more into detail on that. I just kind of like to throw that in there. So let's start with HRAs. When you hear HRA, that stands for a health reimbursement arrangement. It's employer sponsored money, and it's always 100% tax-free to the employees. The employer gets to kind of design with government stipulations, and we're going to go into those a little bit more in depth. These are the HRAs. There's a Section 105 HRA, which is strictly for self-employed individuals. As a matter of fact, I have a ton of health markets agents on it. We'll go down that path another day. The individual coverage HRA, we're going to go through that today. You'll hear it called an ICHRA or an ICHRA, but when you hear that, it stands for individual coverage, health reimbursement arrangement. And then we have the qualified small employer health reimbursement arrangement. Some people will call it a QSEHRA or a QSE. We have the accepted benefits and the integrated HRA. Those are more towards groups, so we'll talk about those later. And we're going to skip through some of this because I know we're limited. The first one, HRA, that we're going to talk about is the QSEHRA, the Qualified Small Employer Health Reimbursement Arrangement. The important part of this are the requirements. So in order for an employer or an employee to participate in a QSE, they have to have minimum essential coverage insurance. Okay, so that means they can have individual insurance. And when I say individual, that could be through the marketplace, it could be direct through the broker, it could be Medicare. Medicare is considered individual. But when we say MEC insurance, that also means that if you have an employee that's on their spouse's group health insurance plan, they can't bring the premiums over to be reimbursed to their job because they're already getting them pre-tax through their spouse. However, they can bring over their out-of-pocket medical expenses. So things like copays, deductibles, prescriptions, dental vision expenses. So when they're talking about minimum essential coverage, it's just a way people use this QSE to get benefits for all of their employees and not just the ones on individual. And this has been big because, and Silas said it really well, group insurance premiums are skyrocketing. And they're not affordable a lot of times, or if they're on a group insurance plan, I've seen increases this last year up to 83%. And that is just crazy. And small employers, especially 50 and under, they can't afford that. So these HRAs that we're talking about are a way to give their employees a benefit and hopefully help recruit and retain while still being able to maintain an affordable amount.
And if an employer is currently utilizing a self-funded health insurance program for their employees, and they've experienced a pretty significant, risk health issues, bad health year the previous year, that's when we're really seeing their premiums skyrocket the following year.
And it's heartbreaking because it literally, you have employers that want to help their employees, but their hands are kind of tied with the group insurance because it is so expensive. So the QSE is a really great way. So when an employer sets up the QSE, there are government mandated maximums that they can reimburse on this. And it doesn't go by like a single or married, it goes by what kind of insurance plan they're on. So if you have an employee that is on a self-only insurance plan, then they can reimburse up to that $6,150 per year. If you have an employee on a family plan, then you can reimburse up to that $12,450 per year. And a lot of times my employers decide they want to just do a flat rate amount for everybody across the board, then it needs to be that $6,150 per year or below. And when I say a self-only plan, I'll give you an example. I'm not old enough for Medicare, but I'll use myself as an example. So let's say, for example, I'm on Medicare. I'm married, but I'm on Medicare. Well, I wouldn't qualify for that family amount because I'm on a self-only insurance plan with Medicare. Okay, so it's not the single or married. People get that confused quite a bit. But the key to this QSEHRA, it's for 1 to 49 employees, and they have to have minimum essential coverage insurance. Okay, and we're going to kind of skip through some of these. I would just kind of want to do the features. But here's an example. And actually, I'll explain to you how it works. So when you have an HRA, the employees have to pay for that medical expense or that insurance premium out of their personal account, just like they would their mortgage or their grocery bill or their water bill. They pay for that, and then they're going to submit their expense to BASE. And we approve or deny that expense based the way the laws are written and the plan is set up. And then we can do a direct deposit where we pull from the business account and direct deposit into the employee's account. So, and as far as the employees submitting their expense, it's super easy. We have this smartphone app that they can download, and they literally take a picture of their proof of payment, click submit, and it comes right to us. So the funds are typically back in their account within 48 hours. Now, if it's a weekend or a holiday, it may be 72 hours, So, but it is a quick and easy way, but they do have to pay it out of their account first. That's the key to reimbursement, is it has to be that reimbursement arrangement. Okay. So these are just options of why an employer might choose a QSEHRA, because they can choose what they want to contribute to that employee up to those maximum amount. They don't have to, they can say, we just want to do $100 a month, $1,200 a year for all of our employees. And they can do that. It just gives them flexibility, and remember that it's a tax-free reimbursement to these employees. So Silas brought up something I just want to say real quick about increasing wages to help cover with health insurance premiums. That is not a good option for a couple of reasons. For one, like Silas said, if they go buy a boat, they go buy a boat. You can't label that anything medically related. Also, if they increase their wage, you can't take that back. If you're giving them a salary, you can't say, oh, we're going to decrease your salary. That's not going to go over well. And I'm sure someone would call an attorney or something. The other thing is, it also, besides the employees affecting their subsidy, and now the employees are paying more tax on that money, the employer is also increased their tax by having to pay the matching FICA tax. So there's so many things, and that's the same way, even if you give them a bonus, you know, everybody's still paying more tax on everything. Where with a QSE or one of these HRAs, the employees get it 100% tax-free. The employers get to write it off as an employee benefit plan, and it's a win-win for everybody.
So Michelle, we do have a question.
Yes.
This is from Cheryl. So it does not have to be an existing incurred expense. If employer is making a monthly contribution, does it roll over?
Like roll over from year to year?
Mm-hmm.
No. So with the HRAs, it's January through December plan, or you know, let's say we start someone in April, it goes through December, and January starts a new plan. Those do not roll over. So if the employees don't turn in expenses, then those funds just stay with the employer.
So Cheryl, they do have to incur the expense, show their receipt, and that's what they're going to be reimbursed. So it's not like where you see this first bullet, that the employer can choose how much to contribute each month and when. It just means that they're not going to reimburse more than that set amount per month.
Correct. So let's say, for example, and the employer has said, I'll give you $100 a month. In January 1st, they get $100. February 1st, another $100. So now they have 200 accrued. So, but let's say they turn in an expense for 400, they're still only going to get the $200 that they've accrued. If they are approved, let's say the company is going to give them $200 a month toward their premiums, and their premium is only $100 a month. They're only going to get that $100 a month reimbursed. They're not going to get more than their premium.
And if they've waited to submit their receipts till, say, like December,
Which people do, they want a big
people
Christmas
do,
bonus.
yes, they do, absolutely. But and say they've accrued $1,200 because it's $100 that the employer is willing to reimburse.
Yeah.
But if the bill ends up being reimbursed for $1,100, that $100 that's remaining in that balance does not roll over to the next calendar year. It's
Correct.
gone.
Correct. Yep. But I do have a lot of employees that literally save that up for December, and then they go Christmas shopping with their $1,200 checks, and you know. So it's a really great plan. I think the biggest takeaway from it is it's tax-free to the employees. The employers get to write it off. And the key point to these HRAs that we're going to talk about today is that it creates that special enrollment period. That's a huge deal, because if you go to a company and yeah, they would like to do something, but none of their employees have insurance, this opens up that special enrollment period for the marketplace. So now they can go out, and every one of their employees can now enroll in a plan because the business has set up an ICHRA or a QSE. So insurance just isn't an open enrollment time of year. we can do it all year round now. Perfect. So any more questions on the QSE before I go to the next one?
I think this could actually go with this one as well, but Kemp was asking, what does the employer funding look like? Is it pre-funded each month or just upon reimbursement? Is it one pot, or does each employee have their own account number?
Good question. No. So what we do is the employer has their own bank account. And sometimes it's their day-to-day checking. Sometimes they set up a separate account and fund it. The employer will get to choose how to do that. We don't hold their money. All we do is when the employee submits an expense to be reimbursed, we notify the employer 24 hours before we pull those funds. Then we pull them from their business account and direct deposit into the employee's account. So we don't actually hold their funds, but we notify them before we pull it. The employer gives us access to strictly make transactions, and that's it.
And I love that BASE is the one that administers and does all of this for the employer and the employee.
We do. We take care of all of it. Okay, so, and Sandra, do we have till 10, is that right?
Yes, 10 your time, 11 our time. But if we go over a few minutes, because I know Silas does a lot of talking, so
Okay, I just didn't want to overstay my welcome.
we're good.
So the ICHRA, this is the hot ticket item. It came out in January 1st, 2020. When you hear ICHRA or ICHRA, it stands for Individual Coverage Health Reimbursement Arrangement. This is by far my favorite HRA, and they're expecting by 2025 it to be the main employee benefit source for insurance. With all the testing and stuff they've done. So it's very exciting. So now it doesn't matter if you have one employee or if you have 1,000 employees. If you don't want to offer group insurance, you can now offer an ICHRA. If it's under 50 employees, you can make it whatever dollar amount you want. You could say $10 a month and you could say $5,000 a month. If it's over 50, it has to be considered affordable, but we're not going to focus on that now. So the really great thing about the ICHRA, besides the special enrollment period, is that we can classify things out now, where we haven't been able to do that with HRAs before. So you can say, hey, I just want to offer a benefit to my salaried employees. You know, a lot of time that's the management team. And those are the ones that are long-term that you want to make sure and take care of. Or you can say, I want to offer one amount to my salaried employees and a different amount to my hourly. You know, or you can say flat across the board, I just want to offer a benefit to all my full-time employees working over 30 hours a week. Another thing you can do is that's been pretty popular is rating areas. So I'll give you an example. So I set up a ICHRA for a client in Minnesota. They have 250 some odd employees and they have a group plan that they're happy with and wanted to stay on that. However, they have salesmen outside of Minnesota, one in California and one in Missouri. Well, the group plan in Minnesota isn't going to benefit the California or the Missouri employee. So they set an ICHRA up for 2 employees. So now the California and Missouri can go out and get their own individual health and coverage that works for their family and their needs and their doctors and their areas. And then the company reimburses them for those premiums. That is the perfect situation where sorting it out by rating areas works well. The other one that has been a kind of a game changer, sorry, I get excited because we have options. So the other one is age banding. Because we know that someone who's 26 and someone who's, you know, a lot older than 26, their premiums are very different. You know, say 26 and 55. You know, now we can age band out because people say, well, you know, I want to pay $300 across the board month per employee. Well, that may pay 100% of the younger employees, but barely touch the 55-year-olds, you know. So now you can age band out. So I have a lot of people that'll say, you know, 18 to 34 gets 300 a month and 35 to 64 gets 400 a month. Or they'll say 18 to 29 is one amount, 30 to 39 is another amount, 40 to 49. I mean, you have options on how we can reimburse or set up those classifications for age banding. So that's been a game changer in the health reimbursement arrangement world. So those are some. The other thing that's going to come into play with this, with the ICHRA, are those subsidies. And it's a big factor. So when you are looking at like getting quotes, if the employer sets up an ICHRA, if the amount they are offering is considered affordable for the employee, then the employee has to take the ICHRA and not take the subsidy. Now, if they have let's say they're only gonna offer 50 a month. It's basically setting up this plan so the employees can get insurance, it's not affordable. So if they are setting up and their amount the employer is offering from the ICHRA is not affordable, not considered affordable, then they can opt out of the ICHRA and take the full subsidy. So, which I've had a lot of people set that up. They can't afford to pay a whole lot, but they can create this special enrollment period and pay for the plan, administration of the plan. Then the employees are opting out because it's not affordable and taking the subsidy. So they still get a really great benefit. It's just they're able to get it through the government. And then in that case, what a lot of people are doing, or a lot of employers, if the employees are opting out of that, they're setting up those H.S.A.s that Silas was talking about, health savings accounts. And what happens is, since they've opted out of the ICHRA and they're taking the full subsidy, now the employer can contribute to their health savings account, which they never lose. I am a huge fan of health savings accounts because when an employer contributes to that H.S.A., then I never lose it. At the end of the year, I'm not going, oh my gosh, my flexible spending account, I have $1,000 left to spend. What am I going to buy? They've contributed to the H.S.A. and I've contributed the rest of my funds pre-tax, and it just rolls over every year, even to retirement.
One of our small groups, Michelle, has done exactly this. They thought they were going to go with the QSEHRA and they ended up doing an ICHRA and designing it so that it is age banded and it is both single and family, and it's worked really well for them. And then they're on top of it, we've had some of their employees opt out of the ICHRA to the subsidy through the government. It just was actually a better fit for them. But if they selected the H.S.A. approved plan, then the employer was also making a contribution to their H.S.A.
Which is a great benefit. I mean, for the company to just give you free money to put in your health savings account, that's free money to you. It's not taxable, and you can use it for co-pays, deductibles, prescriptions, dental vision. Even after retirement, you can still use those funds, so you never lose them. And H.S.A. is just kind of a no-brainer plan. But Silas was correct. You do have to have an H.S.A. eligible plan.
Absolutely. So we do have a couple questions that I know people might need to jump off. So one question was, is there an admin fee to the employer for your services?
Yes. Yep. We do have to make money.
Yep.
We are for profit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did put that in the chat, and that's something that the employer and you guys work out. I don't even know what that is for our groups. So I don't need to know that.
I can tell you kind of an average price for the ICHRA. Now, keep in mind, there are special circumstances where prices might change, but it's typically $350 to set up. It's only $250 to renew. And then for up to 24 employees, it's like $6 per person per month with a minimum of $30. And the more employees they are, that goes down. And the other thing, Sandra, that they should remember is you guys receive compensation from base when they enroll and when they renew every year. So you guys get a little kickback too.
Yeah. Plus also I'm the extension of their HR, and I'm helping their individuals, their employees with their insurance and designing a custom package. And many of those people also will end up taking the supplementals as well. They understand the value for that, especially if they're going with the H.S.A. plan. This is all new to them, and this is a way to help fund that.
And remember, when we say they can reimburse individual health insurance premiums, that's individual health, dental, and vision. So make sure you get all three from them.
Yep, absolutely.
Reimburse all that.
Michelle, I know we're kind of coming to the end of our time here, and I know you've got a few more things to share with us. Will you also be able to share your slides with us?
Oh, absolutely. Yep, I will email them over to Sandra. Do you mind sending those out?
No, absolutely. I'll do that.
Okay. And then my contact information.
I think we sent that out earlier today, but we'll make sure that everybody has that again.
Yeah, so if you guys want to set up an individual Teams meeting go over something more specific or ask more questions, I'm here to help you. My job is to make yours easier. We don't expect you to be 100% knowledgeable in all this. Just like if you call and ask me about insurance, I'd be like, call my health markets agent, you know? So, but if you have more specific questions, want more time, call me. I'm happy to do that.
And actually, we're in the process of actually having a Zoom call with one of our prospects so that they can learn
We
more.
are.
Is this a right option for them? So
Yeah.
I'm not the expert. I want to bring in the expert.
Well, I am so grateful to be working with all of you. I've been here for a long time. I can help you. But just use me. That's what I'm here for.
Sandra, can I share something?
Absolutely, Steve.
All right. This is a phenomenal benefit, but please don't feel you have to be an expert. All you have to do is know enough about it to talk to a business owner about the possibilities. And then if they're interested, send it to Michelle and she will close the deal for you guys. All we have to do is tell them their opportunities. They will contact Base. Base will ask them that what they want to do, and Base will recommend the right product for them.
Right.
Mhm.
A
So
lot of
you
my-
don't have to be an expert on this stuff,
No.
guys, at all.
I would say 95% of my health markets agents I work with all over the United States will just say, Michelle, potential ICHRA, here's their name and number, call them. And that's it. So, and that's fine because one little thing can change the direction we need to go. So let me do that for you and take it off your hands. You guys have enough to worry about. And when open enrollment comes, you really won't have time. So just say, hey, I'm going to have Michelle at Base call you, and then I'll let you know where we end up.
Are there
Yeah,
any questions?
one of the things I like to do, guys, is, when I do my walk-in drops, if you go to the resource center under carriers, we have a section for Base, and there's a link to their site where you can print off a PDF of these HRAs. It's a pretty color copy, and I actually just make copies. I take it to a printer, have them copy it, fold it, and I can stick it right in the trifold. And so when I'm doing my walk-in drops, not only am I marketing health markets, I'm also marketing Base. So where if they contact me because of that, again, it's just a great way to drum up business because most business owners don't know this stuff's out there.
Right.
They think their only option is group. They have no idea, but they can't afford the group, but they want to do something and they have no idea that these laws are even out there. So again, start marketing this HRA. Don't wait till you know a lot about it because all you need to know is her phone number and you're good to go.
That's it, Steve.
That's it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Good.
Any other questions for Michelle or Steve?
I love Steve has my back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No, it's great. If you need me, just really reach out to me, email, phone, my cell phone's on there, whatever you need.
Great. We appreciate you, Michelle. Thank you so much. I look forward to working with you on our group in a couple weeks that we're going to be meeting with and seeing if this is an opportunity for them. Just again, I thank everybody for being on today's session, and I hope you found it very helpful and beneficial. And it's just another way to help grow your business and help people out there.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much for everybody being on today, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you. Have a wonderful
Bye,
day.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.